The morning mist at the Motorland Aragon circuit usually carries the quiet hum of preparation, but on this particular day the air felt different. It was heavy with a tension that didn't belong in a private testing session. Inside the Yamaha garage, the atmosphere wasn't just professional, it was electric, bordering on anxious. This wasn't a standard shakedown for the factory regulars. This was something far more provocative. Across the paddock, rival engineers from Ducati and Aprilia were already leaning over their pit walls, binoculars in hand, trying to catch a glimpse of the rider stepping into the blue and black leathers. They knew the name, they knew the reputation, but they didn't believe the rumors. The man standing there was an outsider, a king of the production-based World Superbike Series, a man who rode like a stuntman and treated physics like a mere suggestion. Toprak Razgatlioglu was about to throw a leg over the most complex racing machine on the planet. For years, the MotoGP paddock had maintained a snobbish distance from World Superbike riders, viewing them as talented but too rough for the surgical precision of a prototype bike. But as Toprak pulled on his helmet, there was a sense that the old guard was about to be blindsided. No one inside the paddock expected what would unfold over the next 8 hours, and it would change everything for him, for Yamaha, and for the entire trajectory of the championship. The transition from a superbike to a MotoGP bike is often described as moving from a sports car to a fighter jet. Behind the calm expression of the Turkish star, the pressure was building fast. Toprak was stepping away from his comfortable Yamaha R1, a bike he had mastered to the point of dominance, and onto the YZR M1. MotoGP machines are notoriously stiff, designed for a level of lean angle and corner speed that would fold a standard bike in half. But the real shock wasn't the power, it was the brakes. MotoGP uses carbon fiber discs that require immense heat to function, offering a stopping power so violent it can displace a rider's internal organs. As Toprak exited the pits for his first 12-lap run, the eyes of Yamaha's management were glued to the telemetry screens. Usually, a rookie takes days to find the limit of carbon brakes, but the data starting to stream back was baffling. Within just a handful of laps, Toprak wasn't just riding the bike, he was attacking it. He was exploring the edge of the front tire with a level of aggression that made the veteran mechanics exchange worried glances. According to insiders, the initial data didn't look like a rookie's. It looked like someone who had been riding prototypes for a decade. But what the telemetry revealed next would be the first sign that something extraordinary was happening. Inside the garage, whispers began spreading as the session moved into its second hour. The focus of the engineering team shifted to one specific part of the track, the massive back straight leading into the sharp left-hander of turn 16. This is where the Toprak style was born in World Superbikes. A terrifying technique where he balances the entire bike on the front wheel while braking from 200 miles per hour, the rear tire hanging inches off the ground. Many experts believed this style would be impossible on a MotoGP bike. The Michelin tires and the sophisticated aerodynamics are designed to keep the bike planted, and any attempt to stop it into a corner usually results in a catastrophic crash. Yet, as Toprak approached the braking zone, he didn't adjust. He leaned into his instincts. He squeezed the lever with a force that would have snapped the forks of a lesser machine. The rear of the M1 began to dance, light and unburdened, as he forced the prototype to bend to his will. He wasn't just fast, he was reinventing how the bike could enter a corner. Rival personnel watching from the service road were reportedly stunned. They had never seen a Yamaha M1 move like that. It was erratic, it was violent, and it was undeniably effective. Yet the real turning point happened away from the cameras, in the quiet corners of the data room. As the midday sun beat down on the Aragon asphalt, Yamaha's technical lead began a deep dive into the lap-by-lap consistency. For years, Yamaha had been searching for a successor to Jorge Lorenzo, the Metronome who could hit the exact same millimeter of track lap after lap with robotic precision. Since Lorenzo's departure, Yamaha had struggled to find that same DNA. Toprak, with his wild, sliding, aggressive style, seemed like the polar opposite of Lorenzo. But when the engineers overlaid the two riders' data, the room went silent. Despite the visual chaos of Toprak's riding, his consistency was staggering. His mid-corner speed and his ability to replicate lap times were almost identical to the legendary Spaniard's peak years. He was blending two impossible worlds, the aggression of a street fighter and the precision of a surgeon. He was providing detailed feedback on engine braking and throttle response that usually takes years for a rider to articulate. It was becoming clear that Toprak wasn't just a talent. He possessed a racing intelligence that was frightening. The Yamaha hierarchy realized they weren't just looking at a guest rider, they were looking at a potential savior for a struggling project. But as the hype reached a fever pitch, a political storm was brewing behind the scenes. The atmosphere in the paddock changed as the afternoon session began. It wasn't just about Toprak anymore, it was about the machine. Rumors began to swirl that Yamaha wasn't just testing Toprak on the current M1, but was using his unique feedback to validate their top-secret shift toward a V4 engine architecture. For decades, Yamaha had stubbornly stuck with the inline-4 engine, but they were being systematically dismantled by the V4 power of Ducati. The Aragon test was a crossroads. Some mechanics claimed something felt off about the bike's exhaust note, leading to rampant speculation that Toprak was getting a taste of a prototype that didn't officially exist. This brought the team's internal politics to a boiling point. Yamaha management, led by Lynn Jarvis, was under immense pressure from their star rider Fabio Quartararo to fix the bike. Seeing Toprak perform so well on the current hardware created a rift of opinion. Was the bike the problem, or did they just need a rider with Toprak's specific brand of fearlessness? The garage became a chessboard of management decisions and technical debates. Toprak was the queen on that board, but not everyone wanted him to stay. However, the twist that followed would change the championship narrative entirely. While the world was mesmerized by the lap times, the real battle was happening in the hospitality units. Toprak is managed by Kenan Sofuoğlu, a legendary champion who is known for being the toughest negotiator in the sport. Kenan didn't just want Toprak in MotoGP, he wanted him there on his own terms as a factory lead with a team built around him. Kenan was vocal, claiming that Toprak was being shaped for superbikes and that a move to MotoGP could be a total wreck if the environment wasn't perfect. He saw the way Yamaha was treating the test, almost like a marketing exercise rather than a genuine integration. Reports suggested that Toprak was frustrated by the lack of adjustments to his riding position. The team hadn't even provided the different seat configurations he had requested. The tension between Toprak's camp and Yamaha's management began to leak. While the engineers were in awe of his speed, the suits were wary of the Turco demands. This wasn't a standard rider-team relationship, it was a clash of cultures. Toprak felt he was being tested while he felt he should have been being recruited. The psychological pressure was mounting. And from that moment, nothing would ever be the same for Toprak's relationship with the Japanese giant. The Aragon test wasn't just a private affair. The news was spreading through the MotoGP WhatsApp groups like wildfire. Riders from rival manufacturers were reportedly checking the timing screens with genuine concern. It's one thing for a rider to be fast, it's another for them to be fast with a style that disrupts the established rhythm of the class. If Toprak entered the grid, the safe distances riders kept during braking would disappear. He would become a mobile roadblock, an unpredictable force that could dive bomb a corner from 3 bike lengths back. The media reaction was equally explosive, with headlines already placing him in the factory Yamaha seat for the following season. But within the paddock, a different narrative was forming. Some veteran riders whispered that Toprak's style was a ticking time bomb on the Michelin tires, that he was asking too much of the front end and that in a 25-lap race he would inevitably fold. The debate divided the sport. Was he the next Marc Marquez or just a spectacular firework? What happened after that left even his closest team members stunned. As the test concluded and the bikes were wheeled back into the darkness of the pits, the air should have been celebratory. Toprak had done the impossible. He had matched the benchmarks, he had defied the technical skeptics, and he had proven that a superbike rider could handle the violence of a MotoGP prototype. But instead of a contract, there was silence. Yamaha announced that there was no spot for Toprak in the factory team for the upcoming season. They wanted him to wait, perhaps join a satellite team and learn the ropes. For Toprak and Kenan, this was an insult. They had shown the world what he was capable of, and Yamaha had responded with hesitation. The fallout was swift. Within weeks, the bombshell dropped. Toprak Razgatlioglu was leaving Yamaha entirely. He wasn't just walking away from MotoGP, he was walking away from the manufacturer that had given him his first world title. He signed with BMW, a move that many called career suicide at the time. He chose a new challenge over a compromised dream. But this was only the beginning of a far bigger storm in the rider market. The Aragon test remains one of the greatest what-ifs in the history of the sport. It proved that the gap between World Superbike and MotoGP isn't about talent, it's about opportunity and politics. Toprak went on to dominate with BMW, proving his critics wrong once again, while Yamaha continued to slide down the results table, desperately searching for the spark they had seen that day in Spain. Some insiders claim that Yamaha's failure to secure Toprak was the biggest management blunder of the decade. They had a once-in-a-generation talent in their hands, someone who could have bridged the gap to the European manufacturers, and they let him walk out the door because of a seating position and a contract clause. The MotoGP world was truly shaken by those 8 hours at Aragon. It was a glimpse into a parallel universe where the hierarchy was shattered by a rider who refused to follow the rules. Today, every time a Yamaha rider struggles under braking, the fans and the media look back to that test. They remember the man who made the M1 dance. They remember